Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Rachel and I make new videos every week on fashion and school psychology, so thank you guys for tuning in. So for today's video, I thought I would share some tips for grad school based on my own experience. I got a couple of questions about what my tips for grad school are, so I figured I would just make this video to have it all together in one video instead of answering individual people. So just for reference, I went to grad school in 2016. That was my first year, and I graduated in 2019. So I went to a 3-year school psych program. I went to Rhode Island College, and that's actually the only program for school psych in Rhode Island. I had such a good experience in grad school, and I am going to be sharing some tips based on my own experience and things that I wish I knew going into grad school. So I'm going to break it down into like 2 types of tips. So I'm going to share 5 tips about what I wish I knew like before going into grad school and what's helpful to know before you start. And then I'm going to share a couple tips about once you're in grad school. So yeah, I hope these are helpful to any of you that are entering a school psych grad program or you're thinking about it. And even if you're not going into school psych, these tips apply to like all grad programs. So I hope you guys enjoy. The first tip that I have, and this is when you're like looking into grad schools, is to look into grad schools that are accredited. So for school psych, usually the schools that you want to be looking for are accredited by NASP, which is the National Association of School Psychologists. And I'll link their website down below. They have a list of every single state, and then you just click on the state and there'll be like a drop-down section of all the colleges that are in that state that are accredited by NASP. The reason I say that you should probably go to an accredited college is just because it looks better on your resume. These colleges are accredited for a reason, and it's because they are following like the NASP practice model, and I can attach a picture of that over here. And my program was actually accredited with distinction once I was already in it. And that looks really excellent to write on your resume. Like once you apply for jobs, a lot of people are interested in where you went to college and how that program looks according to NASP. So the second tip that I have for grad school is to see how many people they accept into the program. I recommend going into a smaller program. So for my grad school class, there was only 10 of us. And like I know my sister, her grad program, there were like 26 of them. She went into a different field, but still, like I really liked having only 10 kids in my class. You just get super close with everybody. You can rely on each other. You can study together. Like it just is a little bit more of a cozier feeling versus having like 30 kids in your class. So I really liked that because we were all in the same classes together and we would study together, we would practice assessments on each other. The only downside to looking into programs where they accept fewer students is exactly that, they accept fewer students, so you might not always get in. If you apply to a couple programs where they only accept so many students, I really think that's a good idea because you will end up making really close connections to the people in your class. And I just think it's like a little bit better because you're getting more one-on-one time with the professors too. The third tip that I have for grad school and when you're looking into it is really see how the interview process feels for you. And specifically like see how connected you feel to the professors at the interview. So I'll give an example. I went on a couple interviews. I went on an interview in Massachusetts. I'm not gonna name the school, but it was the worst interview experience I've ever had. Like there were 60 people, 60 that were called for an interview. They broke us up into groups of 10, and then there was one professor with each group of 10 at a table. The professor would ask 2 questions and then you just go around and answer. Like just thinking about that gives me anxiety again. Like that was the worst experience ever because you just get so in your head, or at least I did, and you're comparing your answers to everybody else. You're not having any one-on-one time with the professor, no interaction with them because there's 60 people total there. So it was just a really bad experience. I just didn't feel connected to the program. I ended up not going there. I mean, I got waitlisted, but I was happy anyways because I just did not like it after that experience. Versus the program that I went to, the interview process, there was only 3 of us there and there were 3 professors. So it was a one-on-one ratio, which was perfect. So we sat together as a group, which again, it was only me and 2 other applicants. And then the professors spoke to each of us one-on-one. So I really got to know the professors at my program before I even started there. I could tell they were super nice, super genuine, and that really sold me, to be honest. So I would definitely take what you get from the interview process and really consider, like, do I feel like I'm getting along with this professor? Because you're gonna have these professors for like 2 to 3 years, and you really want to make sure that they're good professors that you can like rely on and that they're very knowledgeable in the subject matter. So make sure you really pay attention to the interview process and how you feel in the moment. So the 4th tip that I have for grad school is make sure that you stand out in some way. So I'll give a couple examples. Like, after the interview process, make sure you find the professor's emails, especially the one that you spoke to like one-on-one, and email them to thank them for the interview. Like, that really shows that you're taking the extra mile there and that you are really interested in the program. Also, make sure that you ask a couple questions at the interview. Like, I would develop a few questions before you even go, and this way you'll have at least something to ask that they probably didn't answer yet, because again, it shows that you're making that extra step to get to know them or the program a little bit more. Another example would be, and I did this, be as honest and transparent as possible in your personal statement. So I remember I bombed the GRE test, and that's like the grad, I don't even know what it stands for, I'll put it up here, but it's like a graduate test for reading and math, and it's the worst test ever. I don't know why we have to take it if we're going into a school psych program, but you just have to. So I did pretty fine on the reading part, but the math, mind you, I hadn't taken a regular math class like all of undergrad except for my freshman year. So I just like hadn't taken math in years. I freaked out during the test and I just like did terrible on the math portion. So I actually wrote that in my personal statement because I feel like when they look at scores, they just think, oh, like that's really low. Like, I don't know if we should accept her. So I just wrote that in the statement, and I just said, you know, I think that this does not define me. I am much more capable than what that score shows, and I got in. So I would just say be really honest in your personal statement. Don't try and like show off or fake anything. The 5th tip for grad school is to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. So make sure you know about the program before you start. That means like, you know, make sure you look up what the class content is. Usually most programs, you can go on their like school psych page. They'll have all the classes that you need to take. So you can kind of look a little more into like what the classes are gonna be about, and also like the times for the classes. That's a big thing. My program, we would have 2-hour, 50-minute classes back to back. So I had class, I think it was 3 or 4 times a week. I want to say 3 times a week. Yeah, we had class from 4 to 6:50, and then we would walk to our second class. It'd be 7 to 9:50. So you have to like bring dinner with you, and it's pretty much 4 to 10. So it's 6 straight hours of class. And we had to take summer classes, just one summer, and that was 3 to 10 o'clock. So the classes are definitely long, but usually most grad programs, I don't know about all of them, they have the classes in the evening so you can still work during the daytime. So definitely make sure you know the schedule before you go into a program. And also whether or not you're gonna work part-time, full-time, or not work at all is definitely something to consider. I worked part-time during grad school, and that was very helpful because I still had a lot of time to do my classwork, because the workload is also something you really need to consider. Like, it is a lot of work. So a lot of people say grad school is like a full-time job. Just like being able to figure out what you think you can handle versus what you can't is definitely important. Okay, so the last 3 tips that I have, these are more geared toward like once you're in grad school. So my next tip would be to not compare yourself and let go of perfectionism. I was only in a class with 10 people, well, 9 other people, and then myself was 10. And it is really easy to compare yourself, especially in grad school, because you're all really capable. You're all really like, you know, intelligent and talented in some way. So you almost feel like you're competing, because a lot of people get into grad school have like, you know, good GPAs or something. Everybody in your class is going to be super talented, so don't feel like you need to be number one of your class. I'll never forget, on my very first test for one class, I got a 72 and I cried because I had not gotten a C in so long, and I was just like, oh my god, what the heck, like some of my classmates got A's, but I studied hard enough and I just tried not to compare myself to them. You're all gonna do really well, so you don't have to be the best. And also, grad school is like such a learning curve, which is like, I feel like why I got a C on my first test, because you're just learning all this new information for a career that you have like no experience in. So you're going to fail at times and really struggle, but it's just such a learning curve in grad school, so that's completely normal. The next tip for once you're in grad school is you will have the imposter phenomenon. This is like so common, and it's actually been written on like so many articles, so it's common across no matter what grad school you're in or what grad program you're in. And the imposter phenomenon is pretty much like, you think to yourself, what am I doing here? Like, how did I even get into grad school? Like, how are they trusting me to become whatever? So it's very common. Like, sometimes I would sit in class and be like, am I actually smart enough to be in this program? Like, am I smart enough to be a school psych? And it's so common to have those feelings. Like, I'll never forget, my professor brought up the imposter syndrome once in class, and we all were just like, oh my god, we've all felt that before. So it is very, very common. You're not gonna feel like you're an expert because you're not. I'm in my second year, you know, I'm still learning, still developing my skills. You're gonna question your ability at times, and just remember that is completely normal. And the last tip that I have for once you're in grad school is to read all of the assigned chapters and articles that you're given. Honestly, you learn so much from reading the chapters, because a lot of times when you're in the class, like, they'll still teach you things, but a lot of it's based on what you read, and then you're having deeper conversation about that in class. So it's funny because I know like so many people in college don't read the actual chapters that you're assigned to read, but in grad school, that is definitely a must. I mean, I just felt like doing all the readings really helped me just like gain more knowledge quickly. It's gonna take a good amount of time to read all the assigned chapters, but again, it's worth it because you're only in grad school for a couple of years and then you're in that career forever. So you might as well just read all of the assigned chapters that your professors think are beneficial for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed these few tips that I have for before you go into grad school, and then tips for once you're in grad school. If you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up down below, and definitely comment any other tips that you might have. I would love to know your tips too. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. I make new videos every week. And until next time, I will see you guys very soon. Bye.
So much better.